Hi there, it's Camaro Man here. This is my third video that I've made, and I want to continue doing it. Hopefully it's going to be helpful to somebody out there. I've got a couple of questions about YouTube itself, and if anybody has any ideas how I can keep or get my thumbnail out there with the picture that I want, and how to get the description of what I'm doing out there on the channel, that would be very helpful. So if you can help out there, it'd be great. So tonight on the blackboard, it's my new thing here, the blackboard. So we're going to talk about process, right? It's all about the process. And in my second video, I think it was, I had gone over the car being flat and explained the jacks and all that stuff, and the car being square, and then checking the lines, did a quick walk around. So I've done a little bit more measuring. Took a cross measurement underneath the car. What I did is actually just took plumb bobs from the rear with the bumper bolts on, found two good 0-point holes at the front of the chassis, and just dropped the plumb bob down and measured, and dropped the plumb bob down and measured, and it was perfect. So there's a good way to do a cross measurement. The 3 plumb bobs cost me about $7, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I know the car is square, and then before, in my second video as well, I think we talked about the front being a little off, the subframe and the fenders. Not worried about that, replace the bushings, that should be, should settle itself. But the point is you need to make sure when you go into this car, I think I may have showed a couple of holes in the chassis around the torque boxes, which I think is becoming a common problem with these second-gen Camaros. I mean, obviously they rot away, they sit in yards or wherever. And even if they cover them, the moisture comes from the ground up and it just tears them apart. So the torque boxes on this car are rough, they need to be replaced, but I'm lucky enough to have 2 used sections that I'll put in there, and that'll be, an area of focus shortly down, somewhere down the road, not too far down, but a few more things to do before I get there. So anyways, to go over, I know the car is flat, and I know the car is square, diagonally it's square, right? And the lines we walked around, but to my point, the thing you absolutely have to make sure is that obviously the car's flat to the ground, square to the ground. You don't want a situation where you do all this work and when you're done, the car's sitting a little, one side or the other. You want to make sure that it's sitting nice and flat, right? So the way you do that is everything has to be done exactly correctly. You can't. There's no room for error. So I will make sure that happens here because I want to drive this car. I don't want to just obviously sitting around. So anyways, and then of course, disassembly. Now we're in the process where I gotta make sure, it's pretty much apart, but like the dashboard's gotta come out, and that's kind of a pain in the rear end, right? So I'll get into that next, but you don't probably need to see much there, right? It's pretty much just taking stuff apart. I think anybody can do that, right? So at any rate, I'm going to just walk you around and show you a couple of things, a few things on the car, and it kind of goes to the lines now, right? Because we're flat, we're square, now we want to check all of our lines carefully and see what's going on there, see what kind of stories the car is telling us, which it will, because a car that sits for, well, however many years this one has, I don't know, 40 plus, things are going to shift on it. So one of the things I want to point out is if you look at this A-pillar line where it meets the door, it's very tight. You see that? All right, so it's very tight. So in other words, and also what's happened here is I can run my finger under here. It's about 3/8 of an inch underlap with the door skin. So that should actually be flush with this A-pillar. And the other issue is the gap here is very, very narrow. It's my little finger. I mean, there's barely even 1/4 of an inch there to work anything. So that all has to come out. And I think what it is, my other Camaro I restored had the same issue. And what it was is this A-pillar needed to come out. the whole thing needs to come out. So in other words, if I take my hand, I just want to push this all out, right? And the way I did that on my other car is I took a Porta Power from the rear chassis area of the car, and I pushed it out. And what happened is it pushes the A-pillar up a little bit, gets the door to come out a little bit, and also it should help this line here, actually, believe it or not, tighten up a little bit. It should make that a much better factory line. Not bad, just actually it's a pretty minor adjustment. The other thing to point out here is there's a little rust hole in the dashboard. I guess that's the dashboard, right? That is kind of telltale sign of maybe some stress from that process of it dropping back or whatever it does. And moisture, obviously. Look at all the crap around the windshield. Yeah, these cars were, today when these, speaking of the windshield, now that I'm on that subject, today windshield glass is urethaned in with the high module urethane, right? The stuff is like, it hardens like a rock. And it adds, structure to the car. So in this case, the windshield and the back glass, I'm going to leave in for quite a while going forward in the project. For the same reason, it adds structural stability to the car right now. So before I cut the quarters off, I have to do all of the structural work. I mean, look at this, it's nasty, right? I like to have to, oh my God. What am I gonna do, right? We'll fix it, I've got the stuff to fix it. But anyways, before I get into that structural repair, I'm leaving the glass in, as I do that structural repair, I should say, to add stability to the chassis of the car. So anything I can do to keep the structural integrity of the car intact while I'm doing that kind of major structural repair. The right side is better, but it still needs some work. I want to keep all those components on the car as long as I can. So the back glass, the windshield, will stay in until I'm done with that. And then once I'm done with that, I'll cut them out, or I'll have somebody cut them out. I don't want to break that back glass. It's a OE green glass, and kind of take note of that. The glass in these cars, just in general in second generation cars, if you're wondering if your car's original, if there's a question how much originality there is in the car, one of the determining factors is look at the color of the car and the color of the glass. They should coincide. So in other words, this is a green car, it's got green glass. The glass is solar glass, and the side is tinted green. The back glass is tinted green. My other Camaro over there under the covers is blue. It's a factory code 76 blue, I think. And it has blue tinted glass, blue windshield, blue shaded top. This one's got a gold shaded top. So, that tells you right there, it's a good indicator that the car probably, was a higher end Camaro. I know a lot of these, I don't know about second gens. I don't know if they all had solar glass, but I think the older ones, a lot of them had clear glass. And then if you had an SS or an RS, you'd get the solar glass with the kind of the color matching feature, right? So I think I'm right. If anybody knows better than me, drop me a line and let me know. So I'm sorry. So I'm getting off track a little bit here. The other thing I wanted to show you is compare this A-pillar and door to the other side that we just looked at, and look at this. You can see how wide that is there, right? So here on this side, I can get my whole finger in there. And that's actually where it's supposed to be. If you add the molding, and on my other car it's a vinyl top, so it takes up a little of that space. That closes that up, pretty nicely. You need some room for it to breathe, right? So if you also look at it from this angle, you'll see that it's flush with the door. Remember we were looking at the other side, it was underlapped. The door was underlapping the A-pillar right here, right? So this is flush with the door, and that's what you want. So this is the right side. This is the correct side. This side actually structurally is much sounder than the left. Not in bad shape, really, if you're looking here at the floors. There's a little bit of rust up front. Not concerned with that. We can fix that. We can fix everything, right? All it takes is man hours. So all in all, this side's in pretty good shape. The torque box on this side is, you know, it's got some issues. There'll need to be some work done underneath, but same as the other side, I have the frame piece came with the car. So we'll work that out. But just to show you the difference between the passenger side or the right side and the driver's side and the left side, that is the torque box area. So the torque box is just forward of that big hole that you see there. So that is going to be a bigger ordeal. But again, it's just a matter of doing the work and getting it fixed. But to my point, it has to be perfect. It can't be off any. So before you weld, make sure you have everything's clamped in place and you're comfortable with it, where everything is. Everything's lining up. The car's flat, the car's square, right? So that's coming up soon. So having said that, I guess that's pretty much all I have for tonight. As I was asked or kind of questioned earlier in the video, if anybody has any ideas for me how to, set up that YouTube stuff, if you're, decent at that, or you could just, and the other thing is I don't really know how, like online with YouTube, what you can do as far as like if you want to, I guess you can subscribe, which would be nice, or you just view. But I don't know if you can comment, right? So if you can comment. Let me know if you're watching this and like getting anything out of it, enjoying it at all, or if it's not doing anything useful for you at all. I mean, just any comments, great. My intention is to make the movies, make the videos while I fix the car. And if it works out and I get some subscribers and views, then I'll keep doing it. If not, I'll just fix the car. And I know what it looks like to do it, so if you want to know what it looks like to do it, you can watch. So, Camaro Man signing off. We'll see you next time.